All right, we are live, and we're already in a heated discussion here, people. I got to tell you. Yeah. Anyways, carry on, guys. Yeah. Stoke that shit.
Well, so when you're saying that, like, to me, what is required to believe in a deity, you have to have at least a minimum idea of what the concept of a deity is, a god or a goddess.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a full concept. It can just be a very minimally partial concept that's sufficient for believing. And then you can be a theist by believing. But if not, you're just an atheist because you don't hold a belief in deities. Now, somebody who makes the claim that deities don't exist is taking an anti-theistic position, and as a consequence of that, they are also not believing in deities, so they also qualify as an atheist. To me, it's very simple. The dichotomy is very clear. Either you believe in deities or you don't. And if there's other reasons why you do or you don't, those are incidental to that. Those are extras that are really incidental to the basic classifications there. So you were talking about atheism, Pine Snake, and we're live now. Maybe you just want to tell the audience what you mean by atheism. It's a new term to me.
Yeah, atheism is a position that both positions, atheism and theism are irrelevant because there is no clear definition of what a god is. So how can you really make any assertions one way or the other, whether you believe it or
so
not?
What I'm going
and that's why I'm
whether or not
clear. That's why I'm always
whether or not a deity can be clearly defined.
One at a time, guys.
Yeah, whether or not a deity can be clearly defined is irrelevant to not believing in a deity.
I can cut it short. Because I'm an atheist to all the God claims that have been presented to me. So there's no need for me to have a definition of God, because I need to go by the definition of the people who claim there is a God. I don't need a definition.
Multiple definitions.
Yes, there are tons of definitions. And I do need to ask, Randolph, when did you become a Christian? You're doing a video.
This is not the first time I've heard this question. Are you pulling a Jordan Peterson on me now?
The only people who make videos from their cars are Christians.
Oh no, that's not true. There's flat earthers as well.
Yeah, and also Exmo Lex as well.
But
she has to.
But one thing, I forget the gentleman's name. He said it earlier. He said, I think you said that that trying to remember it. You said that an atheist cannot be an atheist for a particular reason. And what was that?
Not that they can't. Not that they can't.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on which line of process you want to go down. If we go down the colloquial sense, you can still be atheist and an atheist, just like you can be agnostic and an atheist. Because I do not believe you, because there is no reasonable definition of a god, for example.
Well, first, before you go to that, you keep mentioning the colloquial sense, like. Are you saying that there's a philosophical definition of atheism and a colloquial definition? There's a difference in that sense?
Generally, in usage, yes, as Randolph knows with his interactions with Steve. Technically speaking, a philosophical definition of atheism is the assertion there are no gods.
But just to be clear, that's all bullcrap, right? That's all a lie. There is there is no such thing as a philosophical definition of atheism.
Well,
matter of fact, hold on, just to be clear, Steve even now accepts this because what happens is Steve has been going around saying this for years, right? He says, I have 6 papers that say atheism is only used in that way. Number one, there's 143,000 papers. So if he's taking a sample size of 6 papers and saying, 143,000 papers in this way, obviously he hasn't done the research. But also, there are scholarly articles that Steve cites that I can cite you now. Bullivant, for instance, in the definition of atheism. He's a well-known theologian. He wrote the handbook on atheism, and they did the research. They looked at the articles and did the research and have come to the conclusion that in philosophy, there is no consensus on how the word atheism is to be defined. Matter of fact, it's currently it seems to be more defined as a lack of belief in the literature. The
Yes.
people who actually are using it now in the field are using it more as a lack of belief than a belief. So this thing that one definition is colloquial, the colloquial definition of atheism today, if we're talking about current philosophy, would be the belief that no gods exist. That would be the reason if we're putting labels on them.
And I'd like to elaborate on Nate's point after Pine Snake here.
Yeah, I'm going to say there's two minor points. The reason why I separate them into the two definitions that I did is because everyone here is aware of Steve's bullshit definitions.
Of course.
That's the reason why I made that distinction.
I refuse to give Steve the authority to define these words, so that's why I can't accept basing things around him. My life does not revolve around Steve, neither does the definitions of atheism, agnosticism, or anything else for that matter. And but yeah, to elaborate on what Nate was saying earlier.
Well, just one other thing before you do, Randolph.
Yeah.
The thing that always made me laugh when Steve got into this tirade that he goes into when I ask him to define theist. How do you define atheist? There is no single definition, so why would you have
people have their
single philosophical? Yeah, why would you have a single philosophical definition?
It's
for
not
atheist if you don't have for the. You know what I'm saying? This is the argument I put to him.
Well, my problem with the whole thing is if you're talking to people, everyone is using the colloquial definition of atheism because
in general,
words don't have definitions.
Please call it the standard definition.
Yeah, words don't have definitions; they have usages, and the common usage at this moment is a lack of belief in a god or gods. That's it. And if you still want to stick to a different philosophical definition, if you then get into a conversation, you're talking past each other because you're talking about different things, and it's not helpful. And my biggest problem with my biggest problem with Steve was that Steve insisted on using his definition every single time it came up. And I think that's dishonest.
Yeah. Well, Steve is technically a prescriptivist. That is what he is. His whole argument is, if you use this term, you can only use it with me, meaning this. So he's prescribed a definition, and he says that he can only use it in this way when talking about him or having philosophical conversations. Now, he says this even as he's been shown the evidence that the way he's presenting it is untrue. That's how prescriptivist he is. And I think most people now know that Steve's logic and this colloquial versus non-colloquial is all just made up. It's made up by him because he doesn't want to be called an atheist. He wants to be called agnostic, which is fine. But just, but you don't have to make this grand scheme or this that all the philosophers agree with me. Especially now, because Steve is going around telling people that the consensus in philosophy is that atheism only meant one thing. And when we showed him the actual link and source of people who did the research, it said there is no consensus. And even worse than that, the current usage of the word is lack of belief. He rejects that, and he still goes on with it. So Steve's argument hasn't been debunked. It's refuted. It's not even existent. It's nonsense. It's a flat earth argument.
And he even fails as a prescriptivist in this manner because he's limiting the scope of what atheism is. It's when all this polysemic variations, these different variants of the usage of the word, all share in common the baseline of absence of belief in deities. And I prefer to use the word absence rather than lack myself, because I feel lack carries some negative baggage that sort of implies that there's something that's normal that's missing. And I don't think it's normal to believe in things without evidence. So I prefer to use absence of belief myself.
I can give you 1,000 examples of people that do that.
Oh, yeah, I know. And so I'm trying to change it. But one of the things is this is core to basically theists like to create this burden of proof or this onus of justification on atheists, saying, oh, tell us, justify why you think there's no God. They want us to take that position. And that's what Steve's basically doing by limiting the scope to exclude absence of belief in deities, because he's no, but what's happening is then it requires, if you accept Steve's idea, then his flawed idea, then you're basically taking a position that deities do not exist, and then you have to defend that. And I think anti-theists, that anti-theistic idea is a higher burden to satisfy than the theistic one, because you'd have to explore every corner of the entire cosmos to rule out that there's any deities before you could actually correctly say there absolutely are no deities. Whereas a theist, all they'd have to do is show you evidence of one anywhere. They don't have to go to all the farthest corners of the entire cosmos to prove that, potentially. I'm not aware of anybody who's actually proven it yet. But yeah, so this is key to the theist idea, like Steve, of trying to lay a foundation to further vilify atheists, and I'm against that, and that's what I'm trying to stop, and that's why it's important to me to have this clear and free definition of atheism out there. And I accept that it's polysemous and people use it in different ways, but I also recognize that all the definitions carry that same baseline. They all have that.
If I may hop in.
Yes, yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Faye.
Okay.
Of course.
Yes, please.
It's not so much that he is trying to rip the rug underneath atheism or atheists. What he is doing is he is falsely projecting what he calls academia. And his,
but it's wrong.
I've heard
it's wrong.
It's very wrong. It's very, very wrong. I've had oh, sorry, shouldn't say arguments, I should say conversations with some of them where they were just like, do you have the vocabulary skills to have an academic conversation? I've been asked this. And they can't even define academia. They don't have any idea what academia actually is. They also don't seem to understand what philosophy is, because it's not. Steve presents it as if it's just one entity.
Yeah,
and that's
not.
A
misrepresentation.
But Faye, he talks to PhDs.
Yeah. So does my asshole if I fart in the room. Okay. So does my asshole
yesterday. But he doesn't hold those positions.
But the thing is, if you are the type of person who is going to limit vocabulary, don't look for contextual clues while someone is speaking. You have rules for engagement about language and application and things like that. Basically, what you are revealing is that you don't know your subject enough to be able to use it in a flexible way. Well, and he wants to be the teacher, the leader, the spokesman. Because I've asked people who like Steve, why don't you take a free course in philosophy? There's, it's like give them the Khan Academy link, and there's all the different philosophies that they can study and get into. And they're like, no, I don't have time. And my response was, during a pandemic, you don't have time?
Yeah.
Hello? So, even his fan base can't even justify them not going to get a free course, free education in the topic, and, actually know what they're talking about. No, they rather use his vocabulary words. They rather use his concept of academia and his concept of philosophy, and I have no use for any of them.
To be fair, they have to, because otherwise they're going to get blocked.
That's true. And again, it's been proven. Like I just tell anybody, go look it up yourself. Literally, all the sources are out there. If you want to see if there's a consensus in philosophy about the term atheist and how it should be used, the sources out there, it's clear. They've done the research, they've looked at all the papers, and they said there is no consensus. So if someone tells you atheism and philosophy means X, they are lying to you. That's
also, there's a website I created called theatheism.com.
Nate, here's the thing. On my show, I started out talking to believers. If I talk to a believer, I ask them to define their God. So we're on an equal plane. If I get an atheist on, I need to give them the same respect and ask them what the word means to them. And then we have a discussion on where we stand. it is absolutely useless to have a fixed definition, even on the word atheism. If you have a conversation, you need to be clear what the people you're talking to, how they define it.
To you.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just a useless term.
Yep.
Can
That's
I?
why words are intrinsic.
Can I answer this question in the chat? It says, "Hi Nate, question for the panel.
I'd like to
Why
answer.
the question of belief in God has to be answer shifting burden of proof to the
You can't
atheist?"
shift the burden of proof to the atheist.
It says,
I have an answer for this too. So
Well,
Me too.
Well, I just want to make it clear. There are two different understandings. If I ask you what is your theological position, that's one thing. But if I ask you, do you believe in a God, that's another thing. And I think a lot of people are trying to ask for the question, or really want to ask the question, do you believe? What is your theological position? Not do you believe in a God? People are asking you, do you believe in a God? And you'll say, I lack belief in a God. And they'll say, well, you didn't tell me what you believe in. Well, you didn't ask me what I believed in. If you wanted to ask me what to believe in, you say, what's your theological position? And I'll say, well, I don't believe in gods. Because the burden shift is, if someone is telling me something exists or something is true,
Yeah, they're making
it's not on
positive
me to tell you to prove to you that it's not true. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem that we're going into now.
Exactly. If you're making a positive claim about something, you automatically absorb the burden to prove your positive claim.
right.
I'm completely unconvinced that any deities of any form, except maybe in comic books, exist, because they're on the pages, so at least they have them in there. But
Neil,
They're documented.
there's no such thing as gods.
I know that. I know that.
Okay.
And
I know
remember the God of
there's
That's not-
fabrications.
Have you not met cats?
No.
So
I've got cats. I do.
They
They
think
want
they're
to be
God.
worshipped.
Proven yourself.
I use them for the locals because, as I slowly loosen their faith, I introduce them to my cats and give them something that demands to be worshipped so they can make the transition into atheism by still having something that's like, I'm going to smite you.
So-
Give me that fish, motherfucker.
with that question that was just up on the screen, they're asking about why do people shift the burden of proof onto atheists. They try to do this. I've found that a lot of the Christians debating, apologists especially, will do this. And it seems to me that the source of it comes from the Bible in Matthew 12:30. For example, in the New Living Translation, it says, anyone who isn't with me opposes me, and anyone who isn't working with me is actually working against me. It encourages a bifurcation, a false dilemma that says there's only one option or other. This is where all this black and white attitude comes from. And that's a big problem with this, because I've encountered quite a lot of religious people, Muslims as well,
Never
and
have
some
religion for you.
others, who will always say, well, if you're not believing in God, you must be against him. And they have a heck of a time considering other possibilities. And it's this whole...
That goes beyond religion, though.
Yeah, but religion promotes
Yeah.
this. But religion promotes this kind of thinking. It's right in the doctrine. And people, I find it extremely common along religious people who are so ingrained into the thinking, the religious way of thinking, that they just can't get their heads around the idea that there are other possibilities. There's a third, a fourth, a fifth option. There are not doing anything at all. And this is something they jump to all the time. And this is why you'll hear a lot of them will say stuff like, well, if you can't prove how the universe started, it must have been God. They go to a default position that they favor. And again, that's the same kind of false dilemma.
I don't know how to
The one that gets me
respond to this statement that Susan put there. Are you saying I'm 5? Or I behave like I'm 5?
Explain Like I'm 5 is the name of the show.
I know. I'm kidding, man.
Oh, okay.
Randolph, the one that gets me is, I think it's
And I'd be
Romans
honored.
5, where it says something about God has put you in, has named himself in your heart, something like that.
Sorry, I didn't quite understand. You broke up. Can you say that again?
The one that gets me, I think it's Romans 5, where it says God has wrought himself on everyone's heart, and everyone knows God because of it.
Right. Yes.
When
Yeah, I
theists
hope
throw
you
this at me all the time.
I hope sterile instruments were used.
Favorite verse.
I hope
Yeah.
sterile writing instruments were used. Boy, I tell you.
And Ray Comfort, too, by the way. He pulls that one out of his
yeah.
ass all the time. And
That
by the way,
reminds me
guys,
of a joke. What?
by the way, guys, I did everyone a favor, and I took the Holy Bible, and I took out all the bad, horrific shit out of the Bible. And
Did you get the Jefferson Bible?
I thinned it down. It's a really short read now.
There is actually someone that did
Holy
that.
Bible. It's super super thin now, so all the bad stuff's gone.
Oh,
There is
Songs
some-
of Solomon are still there.
How does that compare to the Jefferson Bible?
I don't know.
Oh.
Hey, Nate.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Hey, Nate.
Is Jefferson the person that literally ripped out every page where there were horrendous act on it, and it was left with a Bible about that thick?
Yeah.
And he said at the beginning, "I'm going to do this, and if there's more taken out than what is worth left, I will leave Christianity." And he still remained a Christian at the end of it.
Mhm.
What a lying sack of shit.
Hey, Nate.
Rick?
Hey,
Why-
Nate.
Yeah. Why is Jesus such a bad lover?
I think Nate stepped away.
Oh, darn.
Yeah.
Wait till
Okay.
he's come back. I want to hear the answer to this.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too.
I don't know. Has everyone seen that meme that's going around about Jesus getting nailed on a cross?
Yeah.
By Roman
I've
guards.
seen a whole bunch of them. Some of them are pretty obscene.
Oh,
There's
this
one where he's
was
getting
definitely
nailed by
the-
Romans.
That's the one.
What do you think the glory holes were for? Come on.
Glory holes. Oh, we're going down a dark path now.
That's a good podcast company, Glory Hole Studios.
Glory hole student. That really?
Yeah,
That's actually a thing.
That's cognitive dissonance.
hilarious.
It's the
Wow.
cognitive dissonance podcast. Yeah.
Sweet.
But Neil, you ripped out all the pages. Have you seen? Oh damn! What was that?
I didn't actually.
Christian
that came in the mail.
Christian Boot Camp from 2005 from Kent Hovind, where he has this guy who is there for the comic relief at the start of every talk, and he comes on stage and starts ripping out pages. This isn't right. This isn't right. This isn't right. If you need to facepalm, you need to watch that.
Someone
He's
should ask.
literally summing up everything that is wrong in the Bible, and it's seen as a bad thing.
Somebody should ask Kent Hovind's CPA if that's tax deductible.
You hear Nate and I were talking about that right at the beginning of his interview. Is Hovind is suing the government?
Yeah, for millions.
Yeah, like
Millions, I think.
half
Oh, I
$1
heard
billion
something about
or
that.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, half a billion.
Wow.
Well, I'm sure he's going to get that. That $500 million is his.
Oh. Oh yeah, because he says he's not even an American citizen; he's a sovereign person or whatever the fuck that even means.
Oh, he's one of those. Okay.
He has an overseas bank account, so just prove me wrong.
Only one?
Maybe he could be like Peter Griffin on that one episode where he made Petopia or Peteropia or whatever.
Pretoria.
Pretoria, that's right.
Yeah,
Isn't he-
Pretoria.
Hovindia or something.
Isn't he already doing that? I mean,
Of India.
he has his own adventure land. It is a land.
Oh yes, yeah, fair enough. Dinosaur Fun Park or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
Adventureland.
I'm still hoping that he gets his dinosaur. He was planning a really big dinosaur where you could go up in the legs. There would be stairs in the legs that would take you up, and then in the belly there would be a library, and then you could go up into the neck, and in the neck was a water slide that would get you down through the belly. So water and books may be problematic, but then you would shoot out the ass. Then you would shoot out the ass of the dinosaur and land in one of his lakes. I so hope that that's going to be a real thing.
Yeah, just without the books. Just make it a
No.
big book.
Let him keep his books.
big-
Let him keep his books. All his books that he references that don't say what he says they say. Let him put those books in there and then have water going through it. A really moist environment to have books.
What were you gonna say, Faye?
Just let it be a vat of hydrochloric acid. We don't need those people anyway.
Hydrochloric acid won't do anything really.
Well, you can always
we
make
need to
sure
give them
there's a tar
hydrochloroquine.
pit in the end for them to actually land in.
No, just tell them to swim safely and eat some hydrochloroquine.
I mean, it's already safe enough that children drown there, and it was open for what, a few months when a kid was kidnapped.
That's
So-
a joke. Yeah.
People
Is
get
that what the
kidnapped at
dinosaur park's going to look like?
No,
Oh, boy.
I really hate when people are like, so what kind of atheist are you?
There's only
Are you
I
a good
always-
Are you a good
I always respond.
atheist?
I always respond, the good kind.
okay.
Oh,
The good kind.
is that weak atheism? You just have
No,
to
no,
look for
this is-
Jesus
Well,
enough.
I respond to that with, I'm the one that barbecues and not bakes babies.
For my baby's
You
barbecue.
really need to explore God and utter to like have that position. You can't be a third
Look-
generation atheist and actually hold a position.
Yeah.
I have explored God enough through his prostate. He enjoyed it a lot, but then he fucked off.
Mm.
What question
By
were you
the-
going to ask Nate, Faye?
Oh, I wanted to ask Nate why Jesus is such a horrible lover. Does
No,
Nate
you're
know?
muted.
Nate is
Nate, you're muted.
Nate is muted.
Nate's muted. He can't hear me, or he can't reply to me.
There it is. I got it now.
Oh,
You're saying?
I can hear him now.
Why is he such a terrible lover?
Is he? I don't know. Did he? I thought Jesus was celibate, right? Isn't that the reason why the priest can't have sex? Because Jesus never.
No,
had
it's because he always tries to come into your heart. Dun-dun-dun.
That's a good joke.
Oh boy. I don't need that imagery this time of
Oh
day.
no.
Or
Oh,
any
no.
time of day.
So all y'all see the one I put up here now from the Javier person that asked another question.
Do you know how Romans 1 calls Christians in the
Second century.
second century?
Of course we do. They were called atheists.
Okay.
That's what the word.
The Romans considered them to be atheists because they didn't believe in their
Even the
specific
Roman gods.
pantheon of gods. Yes, that's right. Also heathens, they called them too.
But
I'm not
one thing,
really.
well, one thing now is that this whole argument about the atheism definition, it's really it makes no sense for two reasons. Number one, I've always said, and it may be me as an attorney, but for me as an attorney, it's about answering the question that someone asks, right? So if someone asks me, "Do you believe in a God?" and I say I'm an atheist, that simply means I don't believe in a God, right?
Right.
I'm answering
You don't
the
have to say
question
that.
directly. I can actually even say no, right? No, or I'm an atheist. That means the same thing. So
Yep.
I'm answering that
Right.
question. If someone said,
And that's the only question that's being asked. Yep.
correct. If someone was asking me, what's your position on the existence of God? I can't just say yes or no, right? I can't say no. That's my position.
It's a different kind of question.
Yes. It's
Not a Boolean question.
Yes. And so my answer to that would be, well, my position is that I just haven't seen enough sufficient evidence to make me believe or even have that belief in that position. So that's the difference in I believe being an atheist that lacks belief in a God and an atheist that believes no gods exist. You know,
That would be
depends
me.
on what you're asking me and how I'm trying to now. I also want to make it very clear that it's not monolithic. In other words, I'm an atheist who lacks belief in all gods, but there are certain gods I am an atheist. I am atheistic towards. For instance, like the Christian God. I believe I have good reasons to believe that God does not exist. So
You have skepticism to back you up there.
Yeah, so my position. So if you wanted me to give you evidence to show why I don't believe that particular God exists, then that's one thing. And a lot of times I'll do this with Christian apologists who will try to trap you in the burden of proof. Well, Are you an atheist? Yeah. So why don't you believe God exists? Then I'll start talking about why I don't believe Muhammad exists or Islam exists. And they're like, no, I'm not talking about that God. Well, then you got to tell me what God you're talking about before I can move forward. So that's kind of where I think the confusion goes into, because I think people like sometimes Ozzy and Bert Poole and even Steve, what they want to do is that they are asking you, do you believe in a God? And if I say no, they're saying, well, no, I want you to answer another question. They literally want me to answer another question instead of the question they're actually asking me. And the
way I respond and the way I take that is, okay, so you're asking me a second question now. Great. The first question's dealt with. I'm clear. I'm an atheist. Perfect.
Yeah. That's essentially what it is.
What question is it that they want you to answer, though?
They want you to answer, what is your theological position? But they'll ask you, do you believe in a God? So if they ask you, do you believe in a God, and you say no, they'll say, well, you didn't tell me anything. You didn't ask me anything. I answered the question you asked me. So that's what they want. They want you to answer a different question, but ask you the wrong question. They'll ask you one question, but want you to answer another question.
That's like fun Mobius strip.
And what they're really trying to do is they're trying to get you to take a position. And this is why they'll always say, oh, you believe there's no God. That's basically saying you're taking this position. It's a straw man. We're not taking that position. Some of us are. I'm certainly not. Nate's not. And I know others here aren't. So, if I'm not taking a position on it, when you're asking me what my position is, I'll say no position. And they react dumbfounded sometimes. So how can that be? How is that possible? Everybody must take a position is the kind of thing that they try to get into next. Wow, you seem to know a lot more about my way of thinking than I do. Tell me more about how I can be somebody who can't take a position on something.
That's the thing that I have the most problems with when people try to tell me what I do and do not believe. That is where I get aggravated.
It's condescending. That's why it aggravates.
Yes.
This is something that annoys me about presuppositional apologetics. What they want to do is ask you a question, immediately ask you another question, immediately ask you another question. So it's not a conversation.
It's like Darth Dawkins.
An interrogation.
It's an interrogation, yeah.
I love that.
How do you
I don't mind interrogations.
I love Darth.
Mr. Laughter.
No, Darth Dawkins.
Sorry, Peter, what was that?
I said, how do you know that?
No, Tony put a little something about the exchange that when Darth was attempting to try to unravel Shannon Q, which is, by the way, next to impossible.
Yeah. She's sharp.
What's your worldview, Shannon? Really I like cheesecake.
Yeah.
And he was furious that he couldn't use a script.
I'm not convinced that he's using a script. I think that he's just
he totally is.
Oh, he
now,
is.
how do you know that? How do you know that?
He
admitted it.
No, he is using a script because he needs to go back to his irreducibly complex, not dependable thing that is out there that is the cause of everything. And if you don't answer him so that he can get to that, he gets furious.
You know what?
I'll tell you why.
Have you ever tried to precept him? Try to precept Darth Dawkins, because I've done that to him, and he'll never talk to me again. Like right now, he won't talk to me either. Because I just precept him every time I'll say, "Well, what about you? How do you know that? How do you know?" And we always go down to the thing, and he keeps saying, "Because God exists." So I said, "So your argument is God exists because God exists," and he'll never talk to me again because he knows I'll precept him just like he'll precept me, because you don't go anywhere with it.
I did
Steve.
I did the same thing. I did, and I did that offline, and that's why he won't talk to me again, and he blocked me. Stupid enough, he's still in our server from the channel server, and he won't talk to me again because I told him if we're going to do this, you're going to answer my questions as well. And we're going to do this live.
I think my conclusion that he's not using a script is reasonable, though, because I saw him when he was on with Atheist Pastor, and Atheist Pastor jokingly said, "No, he's not an atheist; he's a Hindu." And then Darth Dawkins he immediately switched gears and started asking him all these questions about Hinduism, all these particulars. It seemed like, wow, Darth Dawkins knows quite a bit about Hinduism. This is pretty interesting. And then finally, Atheist Pastor fessed up that he was only kidding, and then they went back to what they're doing. If he was on a script that he's following strictly, like people are saying, and anything that he goes off and upsets him, he didn't get upset. He was calm through that.
Yeah, but that is literally the only way to throw him off script if you identify as a theist, because now he gets to convert you to Christianity.
No, he still has that script. He has used that script in his own server. Well, the servers that I were allowed to keep on Discord. He has been through them scripts.
The Hindu script, he has a Muslim script.
I've had interactions with him, and I remain unconvinced that he's got a script. But that's okay.
I honestly believe, because I've had, to be honest with you, I think I talked to Doc Dawkins at one point. We were talking every day for like maybe 3 months. 3 months we talked every day, and
that must be laborious.
because we were on the same channels. It was actually, I think I was in law school at the time, and we kept going on the same channels and talking. So we just had the same conversation, and his questions were identical. And he has a script for Muslim. When a Muslim comes in, I was in a room one time. I was the only atheist, all Christians, right? I think it was a 9-person limit. 8 of them were Christians, and Darth Dawkins convinced every other Christian in the room that they weren't true Christians. He was the only true Christian in the room, and started presupping them on Christianity. So yeah, it was insane. It was insane. But
everything.
He's better than Jordan Peterson.
Did anyone see the talk even when Darth Dawkins rang in and it was Thomas Westbrook?
Oh yeah, the guest didn't get it. That was amazing. Eric did fantastic. Eric Murphy
pushed him off he pushed him off the script just by saying, "I don't know." That was fucking brilliant.
Darth got so upset.
And just because he wouldn't say yes or no, he wouldn't commit to a dichotomy over an existence that he can't possibly know about.
It's one way to stop him in his tracks.
Yeah, because it's not an affirmation or a negation of a point that he's trying to make. If you don't do that, the Atheist radio show did the same, and he rang up about 6 weeks on a row trying to get an answer, and he just started screaming down the phone over radio. Bloody hilarious.
Listen, the best way to get him, the way I always destroy him is 2 simple things. Number 1, you're right. I don't know, right? And then he'll get up and he'll go through his script, and then at the end you say, well, since you do know, right? You're saying you know the answer to these questions. Tell me the answer. And then you pre-sub him. That's exactly what I do. And then I'll say, well, you know the answer. Well, how do you know? Okay, how do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know you got this revelation? How do you know the revelation is true? How do you know you weren't? And it works the same way. And it gets to a point where he gets so frustrated, he'll call you, you must be an idiot. You must be stupid. I'm like, well, listen, I told you I don't know. You said you know. I want to know how you know. If you know, tell me. Don't keep it a secret. And then we go through that whole crap. So
questioning his epistemology is glorious.
MathPig hosted Darth Dawkins with me. He was using the name Duncan Atheism at that time, and he spent an awful lot of time trying to get to pin me down on taking a position on whether or not deities exist. It seems that what he's really trying to do is get an atheist he's conversing with to claim that we're rational because we don't believe, and I never make that claim. And it's interesting how he tries and tries and tries. Interestingly, MathPig was the one who got frustrated with Darth Dawkins on that chat, and he ended up getting Darth Dawkins to swear quite angrily and leave. It was like, wow.
I watched that show again three days ago. So MathPig isn't on camera. I know how it looks, and I could just imagine him. I could literally see him on screen while he wasn't saying anything. I could see him getting madder and madder and madder, and then he just blew up.
Yeah.
Well, MathPig gets mad because he hears. Yeah.
Javier, it's only recently been called presuppositional argument. It used to be presuppositional apologetics until they realised that just wasn't working for them, so they input argument. But it's presupposing the Bible, and that is the argument.
And the problem still is they pretend to have had a revelation of God, while in fact it was Google. And when I had Sergeant Bruggencate on, I literally had that clip of him telling, and he pulled it down from his website because he said, I lost to atheists all the time. I was so bad as an apologist that I just didn't want to do it anymore. So I went on Google, and that's where I found presuppositional apologetics. And I thought, now I can be good at something. Now I can beat them. So he didn't have a revelation from God. He had a revelation from Google.
Yeah. Just to clarify something for Javier, presuppositional argument is kind of, I think it's a weird term to use. I like the whole presuppositional apologetics better because presuppositionalism can be used in multiple things, right?
Yeah.
It's not a specific line. You can presuppose tons of things. It doesn't even have to be about religion.
You just presuppose you're not a brain in a vat.
Yep, I'm not. I see no reason to think that we are.
Is anyone else here solipsistic, or is it just me?
If
I'm sorry, everybody. I didn't mean to think that just now.
if someone tells me that, so I met the guitar player of AC/DC. If someone tells me that I'm a brain in a vat, that means that I can play the guitar like he can, I can compose music like he can, and I know for a fact that I can't.
Prove it.
That's fair.
I can prove it because my fingertips are burnt. I tried to learn how to play the guitar. It's not working because I can't feel my fingertips.
Okay, you give me burnt fingertips, I give you Tony Iommi.
Yeah.
You give me what?
Tony Iommi from Sabbath. He's missing fucking fingers, dude. And he's still one of the best guitar players ever.
It's like the drummer from Def Leppard.
I don't know.
He's missing more than fingers.
No, it's just the thing. Oh yeah.
I did get to
what has 9 arms and socks? Def Leppard.
You know, if you have 2 arms, you're above average.
That's true. The term apologetics always seemed odd to me as well. Like, what are they apologizing for? They do have a lot to apologize
for the fact that they don't have
Bible's
facts.
illegible.
I mean, if you guys really want to complain about the definitions of words and stuff, I invite you to the field of economics, where like words like socialism have how many definitions colloquially, and then even in the academic world, how many do they have there? So, I mean, if you really want to talk about what is an agnostic atheist, come on over to my world.
Could you invite
There's
Steve
one very
McRae
common
then,
word.
and then
One at a time, you guys.
Yeah. Couldn't you invite Steve McRae and then we'll all be better off?
No.
No.
No. We don't want a sexual harasser on our channel, please. The word death seems to be redefined quite a lot by theists. Because they get rid of this characteristic of finality from death. But death is supposed to be final. So I think they need to use a different word. And they
is death final in atheism?
Huh?
Is death final in atheism? Because you do kind of live on and through your actions and the impact that you've had. And
atheism that's irrelevant to atheism. But for religions, they're very often saying there's an afterlife. So because they're saying there's an afterlife, they're saying death is not final, yet they still say after death you're going to be, something's going to continue, your soul's going to continue.
The funniest thing,
that's
Randolph,
a redefinition of death in effect.
Randolph, the funniest thing that I've come across is people telling me that Jesus died for my sins and he's the living God. I mean, what?
That's vicarious redemption, and it's unethical. Yeah, it is strange.
Oh, he died, but he's the living God.
Yep.
In my mind, that doesn't work. Maybe it's because I grew up as an atheist. In my mind, we have a conflict there.
I get
Yeah,
most
Peter, that
theists, or
reminds-
at least
that
most
rem-
Christians, with the fact of asking them, can I charge you for your dad's crimes?
I literally
brilliant.
did that to a Christian a couple of days ago, and I asked
The
him
thing-
if we were to find out that one of his ancestors had killed someone, can we now put one of his children on death row? Would that be okay?
Yeah, same
Well,
principle.
up until about 100 years.
Same kind of question.
Up until,
Yeah,
up
but
until
it's
about 150 years.
a little bit more impact when it's the children.
Thing
Sorry,
is,
sorry.
up until 150 years ago, that was actually legal in the UK.
Really?
Yeah, it was only for estates. If someone owed a life but died before they were able to be executed, then children could be executed for them, or partners. But the Book of Revelations actually reminds me of a poem, and I just need to remember this right. One fine day, in the middle of the night, two dead men got up to fight. Back to back, they faced each other, drew their swords, and shot each other.
Yeah.
Because Revelation is that many contradictions just in that one book. It's just ridiculous.
And stay out.
I need to bring something up that is happening in the side chat. We're trying to make fun of people like Seitenbrugg and Kate. Someone in the side chat brought up Godless Girl. If we have an equivalent of Darth Dawkins in the atheist community, it's
That
Godless
would be
Girl.
her, yeah. Oh, she's a
Really?
hothead. Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know
Did you
who
not
she
see?
is, or do I?
Oh, Faye.
I'm not
Watch
familiar
not,
with
her.
do not go look for her. Faye,
No,
you
watch
won't-
the debate between her and T-Jump.
Why?
No, there's a better one. Go
Oh.
to her channel and watch the video where she wants $24 to have her mustache removed.
What?
That is absolute YouTube gold. And then she wants another $600 because she wants the same hair as some reality star.
She's a
And-
fucking case.
And she's screaming at the guy who is supposed to give her the money.
Great Benson. Fuck.
Whenever I
Yeah.
feel down, I
There's-
watch that video just to perk me up a little.
Wow.
So
Presupposition
you're
Argument.
basically
I
telling
can-
me
terrible.
to. You're
I can
basically
be-
telling me to watch a
No,
channel
no,
where a
Faye,
vapid female is more
No,
concerned
no.
about her mustache.
No, Faye, I know you. Please don't watch that. That will
There's-
destroy your humor for at least a couple of months. Do
It's
not
already
do that.
been destroyed. I had to deal with the bitchy McCunt face the other day. So
They say, whoa, whoa. Wow.
It just
What?
She must have been pretty
Demonetized.
bad for you to use that one. No,
Sorry.
I don't care about that.
sorry.
It's just,
like
I
this is
rarely
what
hear
it's about.
Faye use that word. So it had to be something pretty fucking harsh in order to hear.
Oh no, I say it all the time. I call
I
my
know.
sister that, sweetie. It's okay.
Oh, okay. I maybe it's just me that hasn't heard you
I'm
say
an
it.
East
that often.
Coast girl. It happens. It's fine.
Fair enough.
If-
What's this now, Randolph? What the
if you
fuck?
want this, if you want to see Godless
Imagine if
Girl
you got caught
actually
doing
in
that.
action, if you want to see
Hey,
Godless
nice
Girl
background
in
there,
action,
Neil. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Ian. You keep getting. It's
If
like
you wanna-
it's almost as if some people can't hear you.
I think that's probably about right.
Yeah.
If you want to see Godless Girl in action at her full potential, check out a channel called Dawkins Greatest Hits. It's got a recording of Godless Girl and Darth Dawkins from Discord, and they're both going apeshit at each other. It's fucking glorious.
I would probably laugh my ass off. I would have no ass.
Oh, I
off,
did.
let's put it that way.
It's about an hour and 20 minutes of them just screaming at each other. And I, for once, actually sat and listened to Darth Dawkins for an hour and 20 minutes, constantly wetting myself laughing.
Really, without knocking your
Yeah.
teeth out, like voluntarily.
Can you
I
put a
didn't
link
have
in the
the
private
edit.
chat?
I'll give it a go.
So,
No, I
I-
couldn't
no
lift
idea.
my arm to, but I couldn't lift my arm to knock my teeth out. I was laughing that much.
So
To be
like you
fair,
enjoyed yourself, right? You enjoyed yourself listening to that?
I won't go
Well,
that
he was
far.
laughing.
Okay, does that mean that you also enjoy like putting on electrical clamps on your nipples?
Sadomasochistic
Well, yeah, but that's
behavior.
Yeah, we're talking.
Is that what you're revealing about your personality? You know? Huh?
I have to be honest. If I watch one Darth Dawkins video and then you get a suggestion for more, I end up sitting an entire day in front of the computer laughing my ass off listening to Darth Dawkins.
See, I
Going nuts.
prefer like John Oliver.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
good.
he's funny.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's
brilliant.
better. Yeah.
I prefer John Oliver. I'd rather have my comedians be
Actually funny.
and funny and not accidentally funny.
Dimitri Martin. That's one. That's a funny one that's intellectual, if you're ever in a good mood.
Really?
Yep.
Oh dear. Tell me.
Dimitri Martin is his name.
I'm looking
I
him
hope
up
Nate's
right
feeling
now.
well. I hope Nate's feeling well. He's just indicating he's not feeling well in the private chat.
No,
Oh.
not him. His kid.
Oh, his kid did. Well, I hope his kid's okay.
Oh,
Okay, I found Dimitri Martin and I will be watching him after
oh,
this.
poor guy.
Yeah, his kid's got to come first. That's good.
Absolutely.
Like as soon as my wife comes out from stuff, I'm going to have to go here. But I think it's another 10 minutes before that comes up.
Oh, okay.
Are you in the
Okay.
parking lot at Target? Because that'll be like 3 hours.
No, I'm at a parking lot.
Randall,
No, it's an appointment.
Haven't you seen my tweet about SJ?
Which one?
Yeah, which one?
I mean, come on, be specific.
The last video that I did, the Geek Room showed it. It's not my idea. I have to give credit for all those things. I have to give credit to Florida Line because she points it out. Where she was talking about who's boss in the house, and she put out a tweet saying that men and women are equal, and then Florida Line linked me to a video where she says, "Nope, you do not get to wear the pants in the house." I mean,
Oh, she's the master at finding SJs. Hypocritical.
oh, I love Florida Line.
You know,
I mean,
one time I was on a modern day debate, and S.J. Thomason asked the question with a super chat, I think, if what my view on
What the
abortion.
fuck is that?
That's an airplane in the background. I just closed the windows.
No,
So-
no, that wasn't an airplane. There was a backup beep and like a screechy noise. And
The screechy noise was the airplane.
That's the airplane.
The airplane was backing up.
And this is Richmond. They drive badly here, including airplanes. They fly them into buildings here sometimes too. There was something happened just a few years ago here. It didn't take the building down or anything, but the plane was kind of stuck in the side of the building, as I recall.
Yeah,
For
that happened in
couple
New
of
York a few years ago, if I recall.
Oh, that was drastic. That was horrible. But that's a terrible tragedy. The oh, where were we? Oh yeah, S.J. Thompson. So she asked me about abortion. So I knew it was her, and I know she's very much against abortion. So I purposely gave a slightly harsher answer than I normally would. And her response in the live chat was all uppercase letters, which I've never seen her do before. She was furious, saying, "This is awful, it's horrible." I'm pro-freedom on the matter, of course, so totally opposite view of her. And then I found myself blocked by her in Twitter, and it's been probably about 6 months she's had me blocked. And just the other day, I start seeing her posts again. Oh, she's taken me off her block list. How nice.
Every once in a while,
She does that
SJ
to everybody.
cleans her block list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but she blocked me over the abortion thing. I know that's why she blocked me.
I have all of her accounts firmly blocked. I only unblocked so she could see the video that I made that Florida Line helped me with.
I don't have anybody blocked. I did block one guy for about a day or two because he was just being completely irritating, and then I haven't heard from him since. So I guess he probably still thinks I'm blocking him.
I blocked a guy who was a tanky who started arguing with me about whether or not murder is immoral.
I think
Left-wing
it is.
tanky trying to tell me that murder is moral if they have enough money.
Can I say that we have
he's a capitalist.
clothing? We have a clothing line for people who are blocked. There's a Blocked by SJ series. There's a Blocked by Steve McRae series. And there's also a free T-shirt. Hold on. There's also a free T-shirt you can get if you go watch Scientist Mel or The Geek Room.
Damn.
There is a free T-shirt. McBoomer's Rejects.
Nice.
Wow, what happened to him? Boy, this restraining order's taken quite a toll on him.
Now, Randolph, you just watched the video where this character is the main character. Just look. Don't
I
act
keep
so
looking
surprised.
for the skip commercial button, but I can't.
I know, I've seen the video. It's quite well done. Yeah.
So my question is.
Show the shirt to Neil. Show the shirt to Neil.
Neil, we were talking about T-shirts earlier.
I know, I heard you.
Yeah.
These are Bluetooth. I can go anywhere with them.
Okay. I have this one.
Yeah.
And I was just saying the restraining order's taken quite the toll on him.
So Randolph, this would be a good one for you for ethics. Exactly at what dollar point is it moral to kill someone?
See, I don't want to use money to determine that.
As in their net worth, like Elon Musk. Is he too rich, and does that make it moral to murder them?
I don't think it makes it any different from anybody else.
I support.
And that was my point, and I got blocked for that point.
Yeah, so you have the same response as I do, and you're working in a very capitalistic industry.
I have to say though, I do support euthanasia.
Yep, me too. It's got to be willful, informed consent, and I'm fine with it. It's to me, there's a death penalty in many states in the U.S., and
I don't really support a death pentalty.
Yeah, I know,
unless
I'm trying to make a point. I'm trying to make a point though, and I think that then the government's doing that is systemic murder, and I think that's immoral. I have written on my website an alternative to this, which is that a life sentence would be the better option, with after minimum years served, that the convict could then have the option and apply to a judge to take the death penalty at any point after that. But then that way it's still their choice, and it's still respecting their human rights. Even though they're a prisoner, prisoners still have human rights as well. That's my view on it. Sorry, go ahead, Faye.
I would argue to some degree on that.
I say that we audit the world's prisons and prisoner policies, especially Germany, and then put a lot of
Saudi Arabia
time into figuring out
North Korea.
What is the right thing, what is the wrong thing, how do we deal with this? When is someone redeemable? Because putting someone in prison for life for like their third minor offense, I mean, we do have the private prison industry here in the United States, and it is basically slavery 2.0. So
it's
still slavery 1.0 because it was never outlawed.
That's true.
Depends on the state.
Well, the 13th Amendment didn't include prisoners, so it was never outlawed.
It doesn't have to be an amendment in order to be outlawed.
Yeah, there's
slavery.
I look at John Rawls. I look at John Rawls' veil of ignorance, and I think, if somebody was innocent and wrongfully convicted, is the prison system really all that great? The death penalty is a very bad thing, and that's why, at least with my solution, it's a better step in the direction that at least eliminates that deadline for them, so they can still fight to get their freedom back.
As long as states and governments have a financial incentive to put you on trial and or convict you, that is not a justice system. That is
I
a
agree.
money-making machine, and therefore it needs to be dismantled and rethought of.
I agree.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Prisons should never be privatized, because you have that financial incentive, which is there for the shareholders and not for human rights. Shareholders don't give a damn about human rights.
Let's put it this way: traffic tickets, they're a large amount of revenue for the court fines and blah blah blah, but they never go after people who scam little old ladies over the phone.
Yeah, see,
That's
they're
because,
they
doing
don't
most
do
of those
anything
guys
about
are
the
not in the
scammers.
United States, though,
Yeah,
and very
but
hard to
the
go
thing is-
after.
traffic violations should never be on a quota system. Our RCMP here are not a quota system. So a lot of the time the officers will just issue warnings instead of tickets.
Yeah, it's the way it is here in Nebraska. There's no I think they actually outlawed a quota system here.
Excellent. Yeah, because justice needs to be fair, not decided by money.
But to go after scammers, you'd have to have like cooperation with India, because that's where most of it comes from.
In Canada, we've had
There's
some good
plenty
success.
from the United States too. There is plenty of.
There's a
it
few,
local.
but yeah. But I mean,
Some
if you
in
watch the
Canada, too.
scammer, if you watch the scammer, like the guys that waste the time or go in and actually screw the scammers over, most of it comes out of India. The heavy hitters do.
Like
And if
98%
it wasn't India, it would be somewhere else. You know, I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's an Indian thing. It would be somewhere else too. I mean, China could
It
just as
also
easily.
could be an American company who has hired an Indian call center.
Yeah,
Yep.
could be.
So
Talking about
that's-
scammers.
Our government here in Canada has success with
name?
going after this stuff in India recently, and I hope we get more of that going, because it'll just, unfortunately, it will only result in scammers moving away to other countries that they feel they're out of reach. But
Yeah.
as that keeps happening more and more, hopefully there'll come a day when they can't, they feel like there's nowhere they can hide anymore. That's what we ultimately want, so that they won't do this. We want them to stop.
They'll never
Wrecking
stop.
people's lives.
Yeah.
In the UK, we had scammers, and people got wise to it and actually set up a phone number. It's called an 0845 number, which is charged at local rate. So each time these scammers called them, they'd keep them on the phone, not illegally, but just listen to them and talk to them for about an hour at a time. And then these scammers end up having to pay the people that they called sort of like £50-60 at a time. And it's amazing how quickly these scam calls stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like a 1-800 number here in the States. You know, the call or the receiver pays the phone bill on it, or the exact opposite. But yeah.
Those are different
yeah, that's
systems,
the
Javier. Yep. Those are different systems.
Well,
But-
yeah.
Same system.
But there's a metaphorical, there's a philosophical comparison to privatized prisons, because they do what they can to ensure that prisoners can't be successful at getting parole and end up having to be in prison longer, so that they've got that labor there longer for them, because they, as I understand it, they pay lower than minimum wage to the prisoners, and
They don't even have to pay them.
Oh wow, that's
They-
even worse.
I think sometimes they get like 13 cents per hour.
That's ridiculous.
What's worse about the situation in America, not only do they not have to pay them, but then you also have to pay for the time that you were in prison.
Yep.
If you don't start payment within, I think it's a month, you go back to prison to accrue more debt.
Wow, that's like debtor's prison in the old days. They'd throw people in debtor's prison until they paid their debts, and sometimes they'd throw their whole family in there with them. So people would end up dying in debtor's prison, because
Yep.
how are they going to make money while they're in debtor's prison?
Yeah. It's like North Korea with their family system.
Oh, they have family values there?
Which, yeah, well, if you're charged with any political crime, your family, and plus or minus a couple generations also.
Oh,
go.
yeah.
And
that old-fashioned system.
good old hard, tanky left wingers argue that there's no proof of the Gulag system in North Korea, that it's all Western propaganda.
No, it's not.
Those are
So if you don't believe you can have the complete screwballs like the right wing have on the left, yeah, I run into them all the time, because I'm like a hardcore syndicalist, and
What does that mean?
syndicalism is a hard workers' rights position where we believe that unionization and ownership directed by the workers themselves is the way to go, rather than state ownership.
Yeah. Probably
and so
not.
My position is pretty far left. I mean, I'm pretty well out there. I guess you could say libertarian socialist is one way to look at it.
That's where I fit.
They're like hardcore tanky even further out, and they're like, no, the Gulag Archipelago wasn't all that bad, or North Korea doesn't have this these abhorrent conditions. And it's like, look, I know that the economic sanctions don't help things and make things worse, like for Cuba and North Korea and everything, but come on. We have like satellite photographs of these places.
The thing is, you said about the kind of socialism you are. I'm kind of with you, but private businesses should be cooperatives.
Well, that's exactly what it is.
However, infrastructure should be in state ownership, so gas, electric, water.
Syndicalism does allow for that. It does allow for that, but it's actually customer ownership. So here in the States, we have credit unions where the customers own a portion of it. And so like if you're in that it kind of is state ownership, but it works just a little bit differently like if you're an electric company and you are is customer owned.
Thanks, Swede.
And so
now the electric company TV show theme song is going through my fucking head.
So the electric company can only have a certain level of profit margin before it has to start kicking back to the customers. So you can't exploit your customer base.
The thing is, when it's state ownership, in theory, you can't exploit your customers because your customers own it and paying it anyway. So in theory, prices will be lower because there is zero profit to be had.
Yeah, about half of the electric companies in the United States are customer owned like this, like what you're describing, and their rates are way low. Rural electric cooperatives are some of the lowest cost systems out there. Now they're running into a problem where person per amount of infrastructure needed as far as to fix the infrastructure or the aging infrastructure we're having is becoming a problem. So rates are going up to save for the next 10 years of replacing a lot of electric grid infrastructure. Canada is going to face the same issue, especially with their spread out.
Can see that. Well, that is definitely going to be a problem in Alberta, where the whole electrical system is privatized. Here in BC, we're in pretty good shape. We have a Crown Corporation, which is quasi-government. It is basically government. It is called BC Hydro, that looks after most of the power throughout BC, and they're pretty good at keeping things up to date. So they've got a good plan going. Just unfortunately, under our previous provincial government, they were trying to privatize hydro, but they failed. They succeeded in privatizing other things, and the costs have skyrocketed on every single one of them. So privatization is a bad idea, basically, is what that tells us. But yeah,
capitalist privatizing. Now, if you went to a rural electric cooperative system where the customers owned it, that's still private, but it's much different.
I think that when it comes to public utilities, I'm more in favor of that being run by government, because then everything is following regulation, whereas privatized being
you're not guaranteed that.
I know, but being a citizens owning it, or just private capitalists, they're going to do everything they can typically to squeak by on the regulations instead of following them fully. I'm going to have to go, folks. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Okay. No, Randall. Speak to you
Later, Randall.
The thing is, we in the UK have a fully privatised energy sector. That's gas and electric and telecoms, actually. And we are screwed out of money, left, right and centre. And the infrastructure we have is aging from the 80s, probably even the 70s. And it's not been updated since. Now we are getting to the stage where we're reaching almost a critical mass. And they're starting now to do it. And it's not the private companies that do it, because the government still owns the national grid. Yeah, the government still owns the national grid, but they haven't been getting the income from these private companies, because, like British Gas, they've been screwing the government out of tax because it's now owned by a French company, and they pay tax in France instead.
Yeah. Well, if you go back to
National Grid.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just I have National Grid. I hate them.
So 1953 was the biggest part of what happened with British energy was, the whole Iran thing. And, it never changed. Iran wanted to audit what Britain was pulling out of the ground, and Britain realized that they weren't paying the royalties to the Iranians, and all of a sudden said, well, we just need to install the Shah again because we don't want to pay. So it's all the same. And a government itself isn't gonna guarantee that there's good treatment or proper treatment of
the thing is, it was fucked up before that Iran problem.
Oh yeah,
because
way before that.
Since the late 1900s, the government had been propping up oil and gas, respectively, and coal. From I think it was sort of like 1890 was the first subsidy to these companies, and then they subsidised, and we just couldn't afford it. We couldn't afford to privatise, but we couldn't afford to restructure the whole industry, and it just fucked itself up.
Yep. Yeah, I wish I could remember the name of the book, but there's a really good historian that wrote how BP treated the world and basically became the British East India Company, in how autonomous it was, basically with the British government providing, the military support it needed to do what it did. And it's just...
It had its own private army at one point, same as the East India Company.
Yeah. So they were basically using the British government as its army.
I'll tell you what, here's another analogy for you. It was like the difference between a pirate and a privateer.
Yeah.
Did you get a DM, Neil?
I certainly did.
Are you guys bored with all this talk?
No. To be fair, I got a little bit bored, and then I started doing shit.
Was not a T-shirt.
It never came.
Yeah, but no one's going to understand that unless they know the story behind it, Peter.
Yeah, so I was on Neil's show, and he was wearing a T-shirt, and I said, I love that T-shirt. And he said, I'm going to buy you that T-shirt. And that was supposed to be my birthday gift. It was a month early, and it never showed up.
Never showed up.
So I'm just...
you can never trust them Canadians, Peter.
Yeah, but...
Oh, no. So, I've got all the receipts and shit in my email.
Yeah, but wasn't that an American company? You
might have been. I think it was Teespring.
Probably. We screw everything up.
Oh, I bought something from GE and I never received it. I felt so bad for him because he had to refund me like 30 quid.
And I think you were using Teespring, right?
I think it was that or Redbubble or one of those.
Do we know if the T stands for Trump? Because that would explain a lot.
Yeah, that would explain everything.
I don't know.
Synonymous with tosser.
No, this is the first I heard that Teespring is awful. So thank you.
Yep.
Their quality of some of their T-shirts that I've received from them has not been the best either. Quite thin fabric. Now that could be. They offer you different styles, like different thickness, like classic tees, soft tees, whatever. And I may have picked the wrong one, but I was.
Avoid Evolfish as well because I got a T-shirt from them for AXP, and I put it on, and my body heat caused the printing to come off rather than put it in a hot wash or anything. Yeah,
mine's lasted forever.
Yeah. I think I've still got it. It's all bubbling and flaking and everything. That was just from my body heat.
To be fair, the one that I showed earlier, that is where a scientist Mel has her T-shirts printed, and this is a really nice quality T-shirt.
Yeah, most of the time I don't have an issue with Teespring. Most of the time.
Well, it is a pandemic.
Yeah, I know one other person who has an issue with Teespring. Artemis Brain Sample, but his issue is that he gave me the password to his Teespring store. So,
no, what'd you do, Peter?
Is it now?
The first T-shirt was one that he absolutely didn't want me to make. So.
Oh. Yeah, I thought about that one that you designed a while ago for me, and I thought I didn't. After a while, the wording didn't sit right.
Wait, let me check.
An
otherwise horrible animal can be lovable if it has more hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that's insinuating that I'm horrible. on the regular.
So that quote is from Arn Ra.
Is it? Oh, okay.
It is.
Oh.
So there's Southern Neil then.
Yeah. And I have that particular quote.
What the hell is that? Weirdest shit ends up in my spam filters, man. Oh my goodness.
Now you sound interested.
Wow. Your eyes got as big as dishes.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't mean to. I've never heard of this before. Right away, it says 18 plus.
Viagra.
No. Cunt wars. I'm like, what? Is that like what? What?
A cultivar.
Like, how does that? How do you do that? And then I'm like, okay, what's this about? Oh, it's a game. It's a game of naked girls fighting each other, turn-based style game. I see. Okay, so
it's like Civilization.
Is it about aggressive scissoring?
Maybe. I have no idea.
Weaponized scissoring.
Is there a video
Neil,
watch on that one? I mean,
check your DMs. I just sent you a bald pussy.
Oh, good Lord. Is it one of them Sphinx cats? Because if it is, I'm going to punch you. Well, virtually. Oh, no.
I don't know if you can download it and play it here, but that is where the quote came from.
Oh, it's Arn.
Thing can be lovable if it has more hair. No. But any otherwise horrible thing can be lovable if it has more hair.
To be fair, he says thing,
He's
but
talking
I
about
think
kitty cats. But yeah, okay, I see what you mean. I should have. I see. If I did a screen share, it wouldn't have played the video. For some reason, it stops it. I don't know why. So.
Have you seen that letter signed by various members of Congress in America to their counterparts in Canada, saying, "Pretty please open your border again. We're sorry."
Yeah, and I saw Shannon go, "Please don't. Please God don't."
Yeah, that's the one. It's signed by about 20 members of Congress, bipartisan apparently. And
Go ahead.
No, go on, Faye.
I was just going to say I have to find a COVID-19 test because I'm sick.
Oh, yeah? What's your symptoms?
Vomiting.
It's not a regular symptom, but it has been noted as being one occasionally. But can you still? One of the biggest things and the biggest tells is the loss of a sense of taste and a loss of a sense of smell.
Well, that happened months ago.
Well, then you might have it.
Or had it.
Yeah.
Well,
Cough and high temperature on the body.
I already
Usually
have
the
a
back.
cough that I've had for years, and
Damn
high
smokers.
temperatures. I already because
She's on fire.
Lyme disease.
Lyme? Oh, really? Yeah. Which could cause your
I'm chronic.
built up. Yeah. Wow. Jeez, Faye, you're like a pharmaceutical guy's like wet dream. He's like, here, I can test some stuff out on you.
I don't take a whole lot of meds. I just.
That's okay.
I only have 5 a day that I have to take now for the rest of my life.
I don't take any. Lies. I do take meds. You're right. I do.
Yeah, yours is self-medicated though, Neil.
Is it what? Isn't it all self-medicated?
No, you prescribe it yourself.
My mom's not here.
Yourself.
Oh, okay. Here's my medication. Medication.
Medification?
I don't know. I don't speak English very well. And I only speak one language, so go figure that out.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I speak more than one.
It's fine.
And I like the blue ones. The blue ones. See? The blue ones.
I thought you'd like the purple pills.
No. Oh, I didn't realize I still had a root. I have a root beer flavored one.
Oh, a red pill.
The purple pill in America means you're taking an antacid.
Oh, it's pink here.
I was
thought they
thinking
were pink and
D12
white.
and M&M, but
What's this purple thing you talk about?
I don't know.
Purple pill is Nexium.
Who takes
purple
Nexium?
pills were a song from D12 about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, something.
Oh,
D12 bug.
hi.
That's going back into the doldrums of hip hop.
Yeah, bitches.
I don't know why kittens can't get the concept that if they're in your arms, you can't feed them.
And Dave, his pharmacist told him to take those.
Okay.
Shit, Dave, I should have sent you a link. You could have been in here with us the whole time. But I'm actually, I got to get the hell out of here.
Is it safe to say that you got the same dialect as Trump? Because I've heard Trump say some pretty strange English things lately.
Yeah,
That's not English.
an accent and a dialect, or I should say, like, don't pick on New Yorkers. Come on. Come on. Just because someone has a way of speaking doesn't mean that they think that sunshine can be injected into the body. Give me a fucking break.
To be fair, our last guest on the show was a New Yorker. It's one of the most pleasant people I've met since I'm online.
Do you know how many nice guys from Brooklyn it takes to help an old lady move her couch up to the 5th floor?
None of them.
Both of them.
So that's Eli Bosnick.
Are you gonna get down?
No,
Wait,
I'm alright.
No.
No, I'm all right up here.
No. I'm getting bullied.
How are you? By your
Yes.
cats?
Yes.
I
I'm
blame
getting-
Irish.
Yep.
They want food and they can't figure out that I need both hands right now
Wait, why?
because they want to jump into my arms
Okay.
and I'm trying to feed them.
To what?
To the snake.
Trying to give them their kitty crack.
Oh, okay.
Crack.
Kitty crack.
Isn't that
Kitty crack. Oh, you mean
isn't that catnip?
Yeah.
No, it's actually a liquid squeezable treat,
Oh. Ooh.
and
LSD.
they just lose their
Wait a
little
minute.
they just lose their little fucking minds over it, and they want more.
I have to mute myself. Okay, sorry, I'm good.
Are you
You
sure?
alright there, Neil?
Squeezable liquid treat. Guess
Yeah.
where my mind went.
Boobies or cock?
I know. Come on. Yeah,
The milking
That's exactly
of the
where
cock.
my mind.
The milking of the cock. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yes, that's the one. You know, the male chickens, or whatever they're called. Choking. Never mind. I'm next. I'm just going to stop.
Oh, you're cute when you're sputter.
Neil, I think
Faye, I think
You're
you
cute
done
when you're a
embarrassed him a
sputter.
little.
Neil just turned about 19 shades of red.
Yeah.
yeah, I think Neil's had too many
Neil,
Bud Lights.
you wouldn't be able to handle my sister.
Wait, at the same time, or now that's wishful thinking.
No, you definitely wouldn't be able to handle my sister single or double teamed. You'd be in trouble. You'd be in trouble.
Lem's fighting words. Neil Lem's fighting words.
Suddenly-
sounds like we have to get her on the show.
Or on Neil.
Peter?
That's a person I'd want to meet.
She would destroy you.
No
I
problem.
don't know, man.
I have no problem with that. That's
worse
my
ways to
idea
go
of
with-
fun.
I don't know. I got the Rocky theme going on in the back of my head.
No, that's the final countdown.
I know. I'm doing the parody that everybody knows that isn't part of that movie.
You know, the eye of the tiger. You're right. At my age, I'd be dead. 25 years ago. Story.
That will close a barracuda with that, Neil.
The problem is my connotations with that piece of music is a woman called Kim Davis, who got out of prison.
The one who denied the people
and then,
marriage certificates.
And then who was the guy? Huckabee?
Mike Huckabee.
The politician?
Yeah.
And then they were threatened because they used the music and didn't have the copyright, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, Tom Petty did that to good old Trump.
Yeah, that's right. Just before he died.
Have you heard
right.
what
It was
Neil Young's
his family that did it, but yeah.
Have you heard what Neil Young's done? Instead of suing Trump and going for cease and desist, he's rewrote one of his songs that basically says "fuck you, Trump."
Really?
Be pretty hard for Tom Petty to do that.
Yeah. George Takei's posted a link on one of his whatever his links from, and it's got it all listed, and you can actually listen to the song. It's on his website now. On Neil Young's website, that is.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat. I should do that more often because I don't pay much attention to it sometimes. So. Especially
you
when
need a sidekick.
I do. I need a sidekick? I have one somewhere.
Yeah, where is Mikey? I haven't seen him for a while.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. I've got him busy as fuck now because he's taking care of my Patreon too, right? So
doesn't mean he can't show up every once in a while.
I think he's on a shift where he's working at this time right now. So like a real job kind of thing, not his side stuff. Oh, that reminds me, I got to give him his pay. I got to pay him for his work. Because
you slave driver.
I am so. I mean,
slaver.
I bought new fabric so I can make more masks.
Cool.
And
I just ordered a couple.
I'm absolutely terrible at sewing with the machine, so I have to do it all by hand.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you're going to make them all like abstracty cool looking and stuff. Like,
no.
With zigzaggy lines and...
No, I'll paint teeth on them later.
Yeah, sweet. I almost bought a pair that had like a kind of a little bit of a smile and had upward fangs on it. Would have been cool.
No, I like to do like weird little cute things if I can, because I'm really not creative the way other people are when it comes to fabric. So
right.
I just have to get by. But I did buy a matching eyeshadow to go with my new masks.
Oh my goodness. You women and your accessorizing. Actually, I'm guilty of it too, just not with makeup.
Yeah.
Well, I ran into... Yes?
Is it Nebraska just made it law that all the kids have to wear masks to school now if they're going to open up?
It's happening all over the place.
You started it, Neil, so I now have an image of you wearing a mask and a matching G-string. Just because that's where that just went. Accessorizing.
Well,
what?
I got a big red one from the Canadian Blood Service when I went because I didn't have my one from work with me. So they gave me one that they have the little fabric ones. So they just give you one, you throw it on. And I'm like, oh, you guys want this back? I'm like, I sneezed in it. And they're like, oh no, you can keep it.
Wait,
I'm going to download the show and cut this out and just have you say the part. I got a big red one, and then see what happens.
See what happens.
Simply Succular mentioned a Philly cheesesteak.
Ooh. Grab something to eat, and then I saw the notification, and I thought I haven't watched Neil's show.
Dishes or In the States, you guys have Grubhub and DoorDash and all that shit. And I got me some
Not
pizza.
in my area.
You don't have that shit there, really?
No, not in my area. We don't have delivery for anything.
That's
In my area.
Yeah, but Skip is different. Like, I get stuff from places that I wouldn't be able to normally get delivery from. But
Yeah.
you can through Skip the Dishes.
But I can't hear. We don't
Oh,
have
that's
any delivery.
Wow. It's like you live on the moon or something.
No, I live in a state park.
I can't either. I don't even have a decent
tree,
address
like
where I'm at.
chipmunks and Just kidding. Do you live with the Rescue Rangers? I'm just kidding.
We
That
have
would
the
be cool, though.
occasionally
It's fine.
swimming moose.
Nice.
It's 3 in the morning, and even I can still get a delivery.
Yeah, if you want
Show
it, they'll
off.
bring it. Yeah, show off. Yeah.
Show off.
All right.
I mean, I even live in a country where at 3 in
I live
the
in the
morning
country
I can
too,
ring an
well.
ambulance. I can ring an ambulance and not get charged for it as well.
Sweet.
Mine only cost me $2,100.
That's
I
not
live-
what
I
I
live in-
paid.
I live in a country where I can ring the police, and within 10 minutes there are at least 3 cars.
Yeah. No offense.
Which happened quite recently, which is why I still have my property.
I was
Good.
gonna
It worked.
say, no offense, but I am not calling the police for anything.
No, the police here are different.
Police everywhere are still human beings.
By the way, Simply Secular lives in my neck of the woods, but he lives in North Vancouver area. And that's basically the mountains are right behind it. So there's bears and raccoons and fucking deer. And you don't start hitting moose until you start heading up country towards like 100 Mile and shit like that. But
Well, we have bears. A friend of mine mistook a bear for a hitchhiker.
we have wolverines, though.
We have fishers.
Fishers.
Yes.
Are
They're
little
very-
guys in boats that do that? Or
No, they're
We have-
like a very large weasel.
oh, yes.
We have nudists
Same family.
about 20 minutes from me.
Nudists. That's where you are when you're not here.
Oh, are they
Why do you,
rabid?
why do you think I'm not on camera now?
Are these nudists rabid?
Rabid
To
nudists?
Be a
Yes.
nudist in December in this country, yes, they must be rabid.
Okay.
I
Good
feel
to
I
know.
feel for nudists in the UK. With those temperatures, I really feel for nudists in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, we're ecstatic if it gets up to 20 degrees C.
Oh, that's
It's
right,
still-
too.
It's still, to me, it's still mind-boggling. It's the country in Europe that gets the least amount of sun and has the most convertibles. It's something I never understood.
And
And
it looks
even
like bad
even if you have hail, they will not put up the roof because you bought a convertible. You're going to drive it with the top down.
Motherfucker, I buy shorts to go on holiday for 2 weeks a year. I'm wearing them in December to get my money's worth out of them.
Yeah, I saw
Oh.
a picture
Oh.
of who was your guest a week ago or so? Katie. She was like, I cycled off to the town for 30 minutes and she's wearing like her winter coat and everything. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
And then I looked at the temperature out there and I went, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 15 degrees, but it was throwing it down and it was glorious.
Yeah, but to Americans, dude, 15 degrees is like sub-zero.
No, it's
Oh,
not.
yeah.
Well, I'm kidding, of course. But
Around
Yeah.
here, the girls are wearing hot pants at -19.
woohoo. What?
Yeah,
Why?
that's Fahrenheit.
They're
Yeah.
going to turn. They're going to turn into twatsicles.
No,
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Sorry.
I'm so glad I didn't say that.
no, it's just what the locals do.
Yeah, it's
I
like
wear a coat.
the Minnesota joke is Minnesotans only put on their winter coat after about -200.
Negative 200. What? Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Fahrenheit.
Calvin.
Yeah. Kelvin.
Kelvin.
Yeah. All right.
And then at negative 250, they go, it's a bit cold, eh?
Eh? They're not Canadian.
Well, the Canadians.
Fucking
Minnesotans and Wisconsins talk like Canadians.
Yeah, but they go, yeah,
Yeah,
like
don't you know?
Fargo.
Yep.
Like Fargo. Fuck, I hate that movie. Fuck.
That's one of the best movies ever.
It says you. I'm sitting through this. Everyone's going, oh, yeah, you got to come with us. You're going to go see this great fucking movie. And I'm sitting there just going, oh, why did I pay that much money to see this crap?
It's a great murder mystery.
Yeah, it's overrated. Sorry. The chipper scene is cool, but that's it.
The absolutely disgusting scene was cool. Okay.
I'm like, when does this get like? Because I get it and all that, but and I can see the appeal, but it's not for me. I'm not into those.
Got a bit of the morning sickness, there, Marjorie?
I need aliens and action and superheroes and explosions and fucking racing and you name it. I don't want to see a bunch of people sitting around going, yeah, hey, yeah.
Because you can do that just
I
walking
can go to
out
my
your front
fucking
door.
relatives' houses and
Neil, look.
Yeah, there we go. Burn down the White House again.
Did you see the poll by Robert Reed on Twitter? Which Marvel or DC superhero would you be? And everyone's doing the usual Captain America, Wolverine, Iron Man, and all the rest of them. And someone just said Ronan from the Avengers. But fuck yeah, I'd like to be him. Clint,
Did you see my contribution?
the guy with the bow and arrow.
Oh, Hawkeye.
The guy with bow and arrow. Yeah, Hawkeye. No, Peter, what were yours?
I was the house elf.
Oh yeah, the Dutch house elf, of course.
There's a picture.
Only thing is, how was he still a house elf when he was given a hat?
Can you share screen?
What?
Hold on, I can send you the picture.
Just share the screen.
Not me.
No, Peter.
I'll have to go find the picture first.
Oh, that would help. Shit, I was going to say something. I fucking forgot now.
You were going to say that you're hungry.
No, I already ate. Remember, I ate an entire large pizza to myself.
Oh, okay. That's why I thought you said you had to go.
I'm so fat. I always say that after I eat an entire pizza. I finish the pizza and I eat that last piece and I'm like, I am so fat. And then I grab a beer. Yeah, get fatter. Was I happy and full? That's all I can say.
Oh, I can't wait until my kittens learn how to behave.
Yeah. Looks just like you.
Yeah. See?
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, obviously I went for Captain America. Why have one superhero power when you can have two?
I have a kinda Captain America too.
See, I would have picked Dr. Manhattan.
This is going to lose Neil subscribers.
Uh-oh. No, it won't.
Dr. Manhattan is a great case study in omnipotence and how it makes your life suck.
Yeah. That's great, though.
Damn, it scared no one.
I do Doctor Strange.
I need to up my game.
Well, I went for Captain America because obviously there's Captain America's bit, and he can also be Thor as well. He can wield Mjolnir.
That's right. He's got a pure enough heart that he can pick up Mjolnir. So.
Yep. And the picture I chose was the caption to it was, I just don't like bullies.
Now, does it have to be superhero, or can it be somebody that's like neutral, not a superhero, not a villain?
Well, Hawkeye isn't exactly a superhero, but he's on the superhero side.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So he's chaotic good.
Yeah, there was who is it as well? They're obviously Scarlett Johansson's character, Black Widow.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that option as well. Batman, he's not a superhero. He's got no superhero powers, just technological. Same with Tony Stark.
Well, because if there's one guy I'd like to be, if I could pick someone from one of those comic book worlds.
Well, you're the Beast from X-Men.
No, sir.
Big and hairy, of course you are.
This is the guy I would be. Whoops.
Okay.
Hang on. It's not the best picture, but this guy right here. No, for fuck's sakes, that's not the one I want. This one.
I can't see it.
Can't see it? Okay, hang on. All right. Hang on a second here.
Lobo?
That's right. Yeah. Lobo from DC.
Oh. Why?
Because he's fucking awesome.
Never heard of him.
Since we're
Never
talking
heard of-
superheroes,
That guy? You never heard of Lobo? Hell, he's been on the Krypton TV show. And he's the
I
only...
don't watch the TV shows of all these.
He's the only one that's ever beaten the shit out of Superman other than Doomsday.
And Batman. Batman killed Superman.
Well, yeah, that was in an alternate timeline, though.
Yeah, but
that was
he's
during the
worked it out.
crisis.
I
Batman
haven't thought
kept
of
running.
Lobo in years.
It's like my favorite dude. I still...
Neil.
My cousin has it now. Omega Man issue 3, I think, is Lobo's first appearance. And he didn't look anything like that at that time.
No, he didn't.
Well, that's what roids will do for you.
Neil, since we're on superheroes, and I earlier mentioned that I have Artie's Teespring password.
Yeah.
Whoops, nope, that's not it.
Yeah, you got to make sure you pick the right.
Why didn't that work?
You didn't pick the right page or
No, I put it on
window.
full screen, and for some reason that doesn't work. So I'll have to do it like this.
No, Javier Lobo's older than Wolverine. Sorry. Well, actually, they're about the same time.
There you go. There's your superhero for you.
I like the reason that the powers that be didn't want to actually run Superman was that they thought that no one would want to buy a comic about a kid with problems.
Really?
Yeah. That every superhero had to have all their shit together.
And,
like personally.
Yeah, all right. Well, and FYI, Lobo would destroy Wolverine. Sorry. Wolverine's one of my favorites too, but Lobo would...
How can you destroy Wolverine? He's literally indestructible.
Oh no, they've killed him.
It'd be like trying to kill Captain Jack Harkness.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
That's the Doctor Who-niverse. That's totally different.
It's an analogy.
But
Sure.
even the most powerful mutant couldn't kill Wolverine, though.
Really? Because they did kill him.
But he wasn't really dead.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, because they covered him in adamantium, so he became encased completely in adamantium, and
so it turned into Han Solo. Okay, I got you.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. But instead, he was on his knees and doing this, and his claws were out and everything.
Oh, so
and
it's sadistic.
something like that. And see, I never read that story, but my cousin would always update me on what's going on in the X-Men universe because I've been collecting them since the first issue.
Should never let anyone read books to you. You should read them yourselves.
Oh no! I don't have the time, so he would just catch me up on some of the storylines that I was interested in and how they progressed. Yeah, yeah, right. Like church, exactly.
Okay.
But he just catch me up on what's been going on. Except now he doesn't really collect them anymore either. So Iron Man is a ripoff of Batman. It doesn't have to be a ripoff, man. They're just different characters, and they're good enough. It doesn't matter. I like them all.
There's a few between DC
Yes.
and Marvel that are clearly ripoffs. So
Of course.
The thing is, there
Any
is a clear
speedster.
distinction. There is a clear distinction between Batman and Iron Man, though, because Tony Stark is actually intelligent and rich, whereas Batman is just rich.
You don't think he's intelligent?
Not really. Not
Really?
Not to the
Because his
same
entire
degree.
start.
Not to
Just
the same
curious.
degree as Iron. No, not
Just
to the
cu-
same degree as Tony Stark. Tony Stark is more.
You're right. He's not
scientifically
technologically
literate.
smart. Like
Yeah.
that's why he's got people for that.
If I remember correctly, Neil, you and I are about the same age.
Yeah, 53.
Okay, so you grew up with Adam West as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So did I.
And you think and you think he's intelligent, and you have seen the way that
Hey,
he's dressed in those movies.
Oh yeah, I know it's terrible, but at the time it was great. And I'm not referring the Adam West version of Batman, as endearing and cheesy as it is, especially the surfing episode with him and the Joker fucking surfing. That was just too much. And all the guests of the show that would pop out of the window as they're walking up the side of the building. That was always one of my favorite things. You'd have like some known star at the time or some second-rate star.
Sammy Davis Jr. were my favorite.
He was on it, right?
Yeah.
And I still need to figure out, because someone told me a few days ago that Batman and Robin took medication to shrink their dicks.
What?
I'm pretty sure that's an urban legend, but that would be
Probably.
magnificent if that was true.
At least I don't see that in the porno mags anymore. You see the ones for growing them bigger, but not shrinking them.
Anti-Viagra.
Yeah. Well, Viagra's more for keeping it up longer. It's nothing to do with making it bigger, which you can't do.
No, but if there's a pill
it.
that makes it smaller, I need a box of those just to piss a few people that I know off, just slipping them in a drink, or as you do.
Yeah, it's
Bad.
called anabolic steroids.
God damn it.
Just have them swim in cold water.
It's shrinkage.
one of the greatest
Just take
episodes
them to
ever.
Canada. Just take them to either Canada or Yorkshire.
It's not like it's fucking cold here all the time. We had some idiots at our border come up from Florida with snowboards strapped to the roof of their car in August. Where's the snowboarding? Well, you got to go way the fuck north, buddy, for that shit. You still got about 6 or 8 hours to go driving. Keep going.
Hold on a minute. There's something just struck me there.
Yeah?
You said they came from Florida to go snowboarding with snowboards strapped to the roof.
Yep. Brand new ones.
Where the fuck in Florida can you buy a bastard snowboard? It's like 1,000,000 degrees in the fucking winter there.
Dude.
Amazon.
Yeah. There's the internet now.
Fuck that shit. I want to buy, if I'm buying something that costs that much, I want to make sure it's not one of those little fucking fingerboards that I'm buying for $7,000 million.
It could bother me around here.
Black Lightning #2, but so does everyone else. Yeah, I never got it when him and Power Man or Power Fist. Oh no, that was Power Man. Never mind.
Power Fist?
Yeah,
You just
Is that a friend of yours?
Power Man and Iron
just gave
Fist.
me another
Is that
weird
a
mental
friend of
image.
yours?
I
Yes,
don't
Power
think that's
Fist.
a comment. I don't think that's a
Power
comment. I think
Fist.
that's porn. I think that's Pornhub you're talking about.
That is porn. That's not a comic.
Yeah, no, Power Fist. Jesus Christ. We know what sections of Pornhub you go to. Anyway.
Wow.
Is Dutch what do you expect? And I'm just a pervert. What do you expect?
all right. This conversation's taking a big south turn, right? About
You
now.
said it.
Yeah, you started it.
Only if
I
it's
know.
cold.
I know. I did.
You started it with what
can't-
was it? The squeezable
I have to
liquid.
tarnish my own image. Yeah, that's right. The squeezable
Oh, not
liquids.
with fair.
You started it.
No, that was my comment
that-
about the kitty crack.
Yeah, but you were that
Oh, the
was
cats are on
decent.
crack.
What Neil turned it into wasn't that decent. So he
Choking
started it.
chickens.
Yeah. Well, anyways, as we say here in Canada, it's time for me to go pull the goalie.
Oh,
So that means you either need a wank or a shit.
The first one. That's what it refers to, pulling the goalie. Yeah. What are you doing in there? Leave me alone, Mom. I'm pulling the goalie. No, I don't.
Which does remind me of a friend who wasn't that well endowed, and so when we were out to have a drink, he would go off and come back, and all of his trousers were big wet spot, and so I told him what the hell happened, and he said, "Well, I was there, and mine isn't too big, and I couldn't find it in time, so yeah, that's what happened." So we told him to buy a cheap. Yeah, we told him to buy a cheap pair of reading glasses because then it would look bigger. So the next time we went out, I made sure that he brought his reading glasses, and he went off to the bathroom, came back with another big wet spot and said, "What the hell happened? We gave you the glasses." And he said, "Yeah," and I put them on. And then I pulled it out and I looked down and I thought, that's not mine. So I put it back again.
that is not true. Anyway,
It's a joke. Oh my God, I got to try that one. That's good. I like that. Shit, and I had one too and I forgot it now.
So two guys are opening a bar and they're trying to figure out what to name the bar. And they're back and forth like, hey, Zoe's place or, Peter's place or Neil's place. And they're like, it's too fucking generic or whatever. And how about we name it after
Call
the
me
first...
generic.
What? How about we name it after the first customer we have? So they opened up without a name, but first person walks in, her name is Susie, and she's got a great pair of legs. So they call the bar Susie's Legs. Next day, they're cleaning up. They got the sign up and everything. Guy comes out and sees this guy staring at the sign. And he's going, hey, dude, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm waiting for Susie's Legs to open to get a drink.
Okay, no.
At some point, I figured out there were people who believed in a God. So I thought I need to see this. So I went to the nearest church, which was in a village nearby. And so the guy is preaching, there's going to be a time when everything's bad and you're going to have to eat grass. And I thought that was weird. But one of the people who was a regular in that church was a farmer. So on my way back, I noticed the guy in the middle of a field on all fours trying to eat grass. And then the preacher came by and he said, man, what are you doing? And he said, well, you just preached that we're going to have a time that it's so bad that we all need to eat grass. So I thought I better try that out. So when that happens, at least I know what to expect. And the preacher said, that's fair. He said, and so how's it going? He said, well, the eating grass part, that's not too big of a problem. But with a tail like that, trying to swat the flies, that's not working.
No.
It took me a couple seconds. I was like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
You know what? We were talking earlier about, penis size and whether it's big or small. And you had mentioned getting the glasses to make it look bigger, right? And it reminded me of the mirror I used to have over my bed.
Kinky
when I was
bastard.
like in my 20, I used to have mirror over my bed. It said objects
Oh,
mirror
here
are larger
we
than they appear.
go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the old joke of, oh, how do you get a guy to a man to stop biting his nails?
I don't know.
Make him wear socks.
Oh, fuck.
I've never even wanted to do that in my entire life.
Has anyone seen the film Desperado?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a great one. The Johnny Depp
You
and
know,
No, I don't think I've seen
no. That's Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
well, there's
It's
the
Antonio
two of them.
Banderas.
Yeah, Banderas.
No,
Yeah.
I've seen
Antonio
part.
Banderas.
I've seen part of a movie with a strange guy from Britain.
But isn't
Wearing-
Depp
wearing-
the, or
wearing
not
a
Depp, but
weird
Banderas
hat.
the same character?
They're wearing a weird
So
hat, green outfit, weird hat. I've seen that movie, part of it, at least.
Sounds like Robin Hood.
No. Someone in here knows the movie that I'm talking about.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Green outfit, weird leprechaun.
I don't watch movies.
No,
away.
no. Desperado doesn't have Johnny Depp in. It has Antonio Banderas. It has
But doesn't Banderas
Salma
play the
Hayek.
same
Buscemi.
character?
Selma Hayek.
Antonio Banderas plays the same character. Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
but it's also got Steve Buscemi and Quentin Tarantino. And Quentin Tarantino tells a joke in that. It's fucking hilarious. And I'm hoping someone else has seen
I know
the film
it.
and knows it, so I
I
don't
know
have to tell it.
So
Go on
this-
then. You tell it.
It's the
Okay, last
Yeah,
joke,
right.
and I gotta go.
okay.
It's the glass joke, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So guy walks into the bar, pissed drunk with his friend, and I'm gonna have to go back and see, make sure.
Right, okay.
I think it's
So a guy's in a bar with his friends playing pool. And
Yeah,
it's
okay,
his
yeah.
round. So he goes to the bar and he says to the landlord, he says, look, I'm sorry, man. It's my round and I've run out of money. But I'll tell you what, for $100, I bet I can piss into that glass. It's about 12 foot away because I have that much control over my dick. And the landlord says, no, you can't do that. You can't. Well, put your money where your mouth is, this guy says. He says, okay, do it. So he lobs out his dick, he's looking at the glass, looking at his dick, looking at his glass. And then he starts pissing. And he's pissing everywhere. He's pissing on the floor, he's pissing on the bar, he's pissing on the stools, he's pissing on the landlord.
everywhere but the
Everywhere
glass.
but the glass. The landlord starts wetting himself. You motherfucker, you didn't get anything in that glass. Where's my money? He says, okay, wait a minute. Goes back up, has a word with his friends. Comes back and he starts counting 20, 40, 68. $100. Landlord says, why are you so happy? And he says, well, I just bet my friends over there $1,000 each that not only could I piss on you and on your bar and on your seats, but you'd be happy about it too.
Yeah. There's a joke about that with divorce lawyers too. Yeah, I love that one.
All right.
Is that the one where the Quentin Tarantino's sitting and they're waiting to get cleared, and then they shoot the guy that's sitting next to Tarantino, and they go, "He didn't
That's right,
check
yeah.
out. You checked out." Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. Bye, Neil.
All right. I would say thanks to Nate, but he had to go and take care of his little one who was feeling a little ill. So I'll do a thank you tweet shortly and give everyone a tag and a thank you. But I want to thank all you guys in the chat for hanging out with us. Hopefully you guys had a fun time. These things are usually pretty crazy. So they're always fun to do. And until next time, guys, I think I'm going to change it up. Of course, be well and be safe and be kind, but I'm going to change it up. I'm not going to use the Hitchens quote at the end of these anymore. I'm going to use the Carl Sagan quote, where it says, of course, and then I forget what the hell it was.
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
That's the one. That's the
why
one.
you need an assistant.
That's why I need an assistant or a better fucking brain. because mine
I,
seems.
I thought you were at least going to use Arn Ra's quote since I sent it to you.
Oh well, yeah, but that's not really applicable to how I end my shows. It doesn't really have
Well,
anything to do with deconversions.
I thought you were going to use the pale blue dot.
It is fitting. Any otherwise horrible thing looks lovable when it's got more hair. I think that's a great way to end.
Horrible looking thing is it can be lovable with more hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could say that about me, I guess. All right. Till next time, guys. Be well and be safe and be kind. And yeah, I already did that. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye. Wash your damn
Bye-bye.
hands.
Wash your damn hands.